immediately thought about what K-Rock and Russell were doing at this particular moment. Not only had I paid them $5,000 to murder Tim, I also paid $5,000 for someone else's head. Eliminating everyone who could testify against my brother and put him away for life had become a top priority of mine. The plan was to get rid of Tim first, and that other person sometime later, so that the detectives wouldn't immediately connect the two. Now K-Rock didn't say when the next murder would take place, but that it would get done, and I would get my report from the news, since it wouldn't be wise to contact each other after tonight. It was better this way when the cops started to look at everyone I interacted with. During murder investigations, detectives always wiretap devices on all murder suspects. It helps them listen in on conversations that may have something to do with the murder that they're investigating. 9 times out of 10, someone always says something to incriminate themselves over the phone. So to prevent that from happening in this case, we'd already decided that all forms of communication were out of the question, and that they could never speak of this ever again. I can only hope that they keep up their end of the deal, because I'm solid over here. With everything on my mind, I found it very hard to go to sleep. I found myself tossing and turning for most of the night. I couldn't get a wink of sleep. All I did was replay every single detail of Tim's murder. And to see the horror on his face when the guys fired their guns at him was indescribable. He knew he was about to die, so I wondered what he could have been thinking. I mean, could he have known that I'd set him up? If he didn't, I'm sure he knew it by now, especially since in this afterlife stuff, everybody tended to believe that dead people walked around freely. Well, if that's the case, then he definitely knew that I had his ass killed. And if he knew, then I also hoped he knew that I did it for my brother. It was all about Alonzo's freedom and not because Tim cheated on me with Jesse. My brother became my main priority when I found out that Tim had talked to the cops and turned his back on us. He needed to know that he made it this way, not us. Too bad. The female special agent wasn't going to see it this way. In fact, she was going to come for my jugular when she found out that Tim was dead. She was going to hound me until she found a way to lock me up. But I refused to allow that bitch to get one step ahead of me. I knew she was going to be relentless, but I was going to stay on my toes and show her that she ain't locking nobody up over here. Not while I was still alive. From this day forward, I vowed to eliminate anyone who tried to come between me and my brother's freedom. He and I would die first before we would spend the rest of our lives in jail. Chapter 2. Kirsten. Knock, knock, knock. Startled by the knocks at the front door, I sat up in my bed and looked at the clock on the nightstand and realized it was a little after midnight, so I got up and walked tentatively toward the front door to see who it was. As I approached, more knocks came. "Who is it?" I asked as I neared the door. "Detective Showers and Detective Pittman, ma'am," I heard one man announce. Curious as to why these guys were here, I opened my door and stood before them, wanting to know what they wanted at this late hour. My porch light was on, and it was shining bright so I could see the white men dressed in plain clothes, displaying their badges in full view for my benefit. After I acknowledged their presence, I gave them my full attention and looked at them head on. "What are your names again?" "I'm Detective Showers from the Homicide Division of the Chesapeake Police Department," replied the taller white gentleman. "And I'm Detective Pittman," said the shorter white man. "Well, gentlemen, what brings you by?" I got straight to the point. "Can we come in?" Detective Showers asked. "Can you tell me what this is about?" "It's about your husband, ma'am," Detective Showers continued. "What about my husband?" I asked, instantly becoming alarmed. "Please let us come inside, ma'am," he insisted.